Good evening and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, coming to you live from beautiful Cape May, New Jersey. I'm hoping you all had a wonderful week. I'm coming to you via SHR Media and streaming live here on Facebook. Hope you guys all had a fantastical, beautiful week. My guests today are, the one and only Mr. Mike Fitzpatrick and John Burnett. Mike Fitzpatrick, I have not been able to get in touch with today, which is odd. I talked to him last night, though, so maybe he got stuck in a meeting or something like that. Who knows? He's actually very super reliable, so maybe he's just running late. Very possible. But I did leave him a voicemail message, so we'll see what is up. Hello to everybody in the Facey chat. I hope you all are doing well. I saw a couple people in the Facey chat, but you scrolled by really fast. Hello, Bob Page. Lots of action on my Facebook page today. I'm always starting trouble. I don't mean to. I really, but it just happens that way. What can I say? Mike Fitzpatrick is going to talk to us today about cyber. I'm sassy, Sandy. I am. I'm super sassy. I don't mean to be super sassy, but I can be. I can be super sassy. I just post these things. I post things, and people respond to them. But I'm literally not like trying to be sassy at the time. Like I'm not trying to be sassy, but it just comes out that way. It just comes out that way. I don't know what happens. But that's what, and then things just catch a fire. I'm very, conflict ensues and people start fighting. One time I posted that I could literally say, I love kittens, and people would start fighting about it on my Facebook page. I think people could. So somebody posted, I can't remember who, I posted, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I broke a shoe and I posted it on Facebook that I had broken a platform, and someone said 100 comments about your broken shoe, really? I said, well, I'm popular. What can I say? But yeah, I'm a little bit sassy, but listen, I have strong opinions. And, I pretty much believe that I'm right about everything. No, I'm kidding. I don't. I just think we should all be able to get along and share our opinions, and that, it should be okay. I think it should be all right for us to share our opinions. And not for nothing, we have a very, McCavanaugh is like this close to being a Supreme Court justice. And of course, within the last, 10 seconds, is anyone surprised that there is a sex abuse allegation that came out of the blue about Judge Kavanaugh from the Democrats? Is anyone surprised? So, no. Right? So, and I will say, I'm, when did I get sassy, Eric? If my mom is watching, my guess is she would say out of the womb. I don't know. I'm a little sassy pants. No one's surprised, but I will say I'm conflicted as someone who has had a family member who was falsely accused, but as someone who has experienced more than once that kind of thing in her life. It's a complex situation. As someone who has a brother, who has nephews that I love, it's a very difficult thing to prove. As someone who has a mother who is a domestic violence counselor, as someone who is very well aware of how often this kind of thing goes unreported, as someone who has friends, more than one, who has several friends who have a history of this kind of thing, and knows how often it goes unreported. Like I said earlier today, there are some things that won't be fixed until Jesus comes back. And that's just the truth. I don't want to see anyone that I love be falsely accused. But I'm also very tired of seeing people get away with it. And unfortunately, it's often, it's often minimized. I was having this discussion with a God-fearing, good. I've had this discussion with good men, good God-fearing men. I've had this discussion with, and they'll say things like, well, you should keep yourself covered up, and what were you wearing, and like none of that matters. None of that, none of that stuff matters. Nobody has the right to put their hands on you. Period. So it's a slippery slope, like Sandy Jones Hamilton said, it's a slippery slope. Listen, do you absolutely send certain? There are some men that when you, hey, Miss Celeste, my girl Celeste, there are some men that when you are fairly conservative in your dress and you do keep to yourself and you do carry yourself a certain way, there are some men who don't like that, who think that I've had that. Oh, you're stuck up, or you think you're too good, and will attack you because of that. Like there's no winning. I was at an event last weekend, and you should have seen the way these women were dressed. I mean, there was butts, boobs, everything was hanging out. I had a little off-the-shoulder blouse on, and this guy, I'm used to guys yelling at me about various things, and just throughout my life, and this guy yelled at me I had a sexy shoulder. Like, you can't win. It was literally the only thing I had out. Like, you can't win. And why is that ringing? Should be on Do Not Disturb, but that's a different. But yeah, but it is. It's absolutely a slippery slope. So what are you going to do about it? But this business of a 35-year-old accusation coming out conveniently when he's about to be confirmed, I think we can all unilaterally call BS on that. I mean, come on. That's just, come on. But anywho, you're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm hoping that my guest is going to call in soon, but I'm prayerful. It's not like him not to show up, so I'm prayerful that nothing has happened and that it's all good with him. We're going to go to a commercial break. Brand new Ron Edwards notebook coming your way. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, in recent months, leftist hordes have been beating up anyone they think likes America, supports Donald Trump, loves Jesus Christ, and appreciates our Constitution and Bill of Rights. One leftist crowd was caught chanting, "No wall, no USA at all." Leftists have destroyed storefronts and shattered huge glass windows at Berkeley Indoctrination University in California. Conservative women are often threatened with violence unto death for simply not supporting the hateful abortion industry of killing unborn babies. On one hand, leftists from Way Out Waters to Joy Behar talk about inclusiveness and tolerating all viewpoints. But the truth is, they are on a mad mission to eradicate everything on earth that represents that which is good for our republic or morality. The struck emails are proof of the deep state leftist hatred of those who want to strengthen our borders and our republic overall. To the leftist, I say unto you, don't start nothing, won't be nothing, or one day you might learn the hard way about an equal and opposite reaction. I'm Ron Edwards. Join me Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on AmericaMatters.us and SHR Media, and Sunday midnights on Talk America Radio Network.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how legally hiring your spouse and children can slash your taxes. Learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the benefits of setting up an exit plan, how to avoid getting audited, and how to legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Visit TaxMama.com. Click on Ask a Tax Question to get free answers to your tax and business questions. That's TaxMama.com.
Welcome to this week's Money Talk Minute. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. This week we talk 3 items that are missing from your monthly budget. Item number 1, gifts. Now let's face it, we know every year we have birthdays and many gift-giving opportunities coming up, but we don't usually put it in the budget. Make a list of upcoming birthdays, holidays, and special occasions and set some money aside for them. The second item, medical expenses. Deductibles and copays from your doctor and dental appointments can really add up. We need to plan accordingly. We know we're going to go for that checkup, right? Item number 3, haircuts and personal care. Now, ladies, we are especially guilty of not holding ourselves accountable in this area. Let's face it, hair, makeup, manis, petties, they can get costly. So we need to make sure we put money aside for that. Put it into the budget. Now, the biggest reason why people don't account for these things is because the amount tends to vary. It's always going to be different every time we go. How can you account for this? If you go through all of your bank statements for about 12 months, total up the amount that you've spent, divide it by 12, that will give you a good idea of the monthly amount you need to go by. Now, if you're spending too much, you may want to reduce it a little. If you want to spend a little bit more, you can increase your budget. You do want to have it in the budget. And that's this week's Money Talk Minute. Do you have any questions about things like college funding, life insurance, or preparation for retirement? Do you know that just in a couple of questions about your situation, I can help you protect and grow your money? You can do this by making an appointment with me by giving me a call at 937-756-6639, or you can email me at moneytalkwithmelanie@gmail.com. Or, if you're more comfortable, you can message me on any of the social media such as Facebook or LinkedIn. Remember, Money Talk with Melanie airs every single Friday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, at 4 p.m. Central Time, and at 2 p.m. West.
Welcome back to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. Okay, I'm just gonna say I am legitimately just a tad concerned about my friend Mike Fitzpatrick, because it is not like him to be a no-show. I texted him, I called him, I did not hear from him. I will keep you guys updated. But we have plenty to talk about for sure. And you keep getting unknown error during playback for what, Kevin Stuckey? For the video? Let me know what you mean, for the video or for the audio. Tell me which one, please, sir. In the next hour, we're going to talk to John Burnett. You may see him on Fox News Business every Friday, but he had a schedule change so he can bless me with his presence, and I'm very excited about that. Like, super excited that I'm going to have him next hour. But I was looking at the news earlier today and noticed I was at an event and I was talking to people about Wells Fargo, who used to I was talking to people who worked for Wells Fargo, and I had said to them that I was surprised that they were still in business because they kind of keep getting in trouble. And I said, I'm surprised they're still in business because they keep getting in so much trouble. And sure enough, they are back in the news again because they're in trouble amid a whole bunch of investigations. Amid a whole bunch of new investigations. They cut 26,500 jobs. Like, really? Come on now. That's 10% of their workforce. They've been under multiple investigations since 2016. This is their sales practices again. And I actually know someone who used to work for them, and that was one of the reasons why she quit, was because they would make them do things. She was telling me that they absolutely had some like really shady business practices, and that was one of the reasons why she quit. It was crazy. Oh, Doug said I sounded fine. We're our own worst critics. I was just listening to that Money Talk with Melanie. I just thought, I could have been a little more enthusiastic. Just saying. I could have been a little more, could have been a little more upbeat. I should have played that back again. I tried. I really did. Oh, check this out. Uber is in early talks to acquire Deliveroo. This is according to Bloomberg. That's a London-based food delivery company, and it's one of Europe's biggest startups. They raised $482 million in venture funding last year. Interesting. They currently serve 200 cities around the world, and it's one of the biggest international rivals to Uber Eats. So if they absorb them, then that just, of course, expands Uber Eats. I don't know if any of you have ever used Uber Eats. If you've ever used Uber Eats, I have not used Uber Eats. I've used Uber. Although, I will tell you, the thing I don't like about... Here's the thing about Uber. I've used Uber a lot, but I've never used Uber Eats. The whole premise behind Uber is, if you're, not able to drive or you're sleepy or whatever, like, a lot of times I'm out really late and I might nod off or whatever. Or, I had a glass of wine or two, and I'm going to my destination, or I'm unfamiliar with the territory. It's circumstances where you don't want to drive. Typically when I'm in DC or I'm in New York City, I'll use an Uber. Well, now, they have these instances where they've been a little rapey, and they had this, I shouldn't use that word rapey because it's kind of make but they've had these incidents of sexual assault. So now it's like, in my mind, it defeats the whole purpose of Uber. The whole purpose is safely getting to your destination. And if you can't rely on them to safely get to your destination, then what is the point? Seriously. Todd said, or 3, all we males would run and hide. Yeah, what's the point? Seriously. And it's like, just ridiculous. Ridiculous. But yeah, so Uber Eats might absorb this other company. Now, I would be totally down with the Uber Eats type situation. Because I'm going to say that I'm busy. I'm not going to say that I'm lazy. I'm going to go with busy. And which I am. I am busy. But literally, I'll be on my computer working, and I'll decide that I'm hungry, and then I'll go online and order something, and then continue working. Because, that's how we busy chicks do it. But who wants to stop and go over to the stove when you can just, click open another tab, order your food, and then go back to another tab and continue doing your work? So Uber Eats. Jeff Bezos is back in the news. He's the owner of Amazon. He says he's got a rocket company too called Blue Origin that's going to put people into space next year. Wow, interesting. He's investing more than $1 billion in his satellite launch program. He was speaking at an Air Force Association conference on Wednesday. Interesting. He's the world's richest person, by the way. Oh, gosh. Okay, then. All right. Sorry. That was an alert from Mike Fitzpatrick. He is definitely unavailable. Okay. I don't know any more than that. Sorry, that message just now just threw me off. I apologize. But his new shepherd, wow. What is it with people wanting to carry other people into space? Like, I don't know about you guys, but like, there's enough on Earth I haven't seen. There's enough in the country I haven't seen. Like, I haven't been all over the country yet. So, like, I don't have like this huge desire to go to another planet. Maybe other people are like good with, have already been all over the world and they want to go to like, you know, Jupiter, Mars, the moon, maybe. I don't know. But I'm like, yeah, I'm really, but these rich people are like completely up. Like you would think like they would be wanting to know. Wouldn't I, like if I were the wealthiest person on the planet, I would be spending money. I would be working with like the physicists who are trying to. There are physicists who are incredibly close to proving that there's a God, that God exists, to scientifically proving that God exists. Like, why wouldn't you be partnering with those guys and like proving it? Like, how rich would you be if you could prove that God exists? I don't know. Like, I feel like that would be a worthwhile endeavor. But these guys are just trying to like leave the planet. I don't quite understand it. Oh, Doug said that he's dirt poor compared to Lord Jacob Rothschild's estimate of 50 trillion. Wow. That's true. And those are the people who don't talk about anything. They really don't. Todd said, right, I can see for defense. Yeah, I can see it for defense too, but why would you want to go to just visit? And like, do they have any clue that like what is absolutely involved in leaving the planet? Like, I just don't understand why you would want to do that. I have no, maybe I'm just not a visionary. Perhaps that's what it is. Like, I have no vision. I guess that's what it is. I have absolutely no vision and no, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand why one would want to, leave the planet. Like, it just doesn't seem to me like a worthwhile endeavor. It seems like there's just, you know, so many better things that we might want to do. The Amazon cashierless stores are really popular. They're going to open more of them, creating 1 million more jobs. How do you guys feel about stores with no cashiers? Todd said so you can say you did it. Do you guys like? I have to be honest. When I go into a store, I don't care if I have like 3 items, unless the line is really long. I go to a cashier. I don't like ringing up my own stuff. Is that like? Is there something wrong with me for that? How do you guys feel about ringing up your own stuff? Like, do you automatically go right to the self-checkout line? Like, if you're in a Walmart or something like that, do you go to the self-checkout just so you can get in and get out? Or do you go to, you know, the place where, you know, the chick is going to go ahead and ring you up? Todd, which one do? You just get rung up by one of the cashiers? Doug does the self-checkout. I do the older I get, the more I use cashiers, Eric. I use the cashiers too. I just don't want to ring, I don't want to. Like, that's what they're there for. And I kind of like the interaction too. Sometimes I like the interaction. Sometimes you kind of regret the interaction. Sometimes you regret the interaction like a little. Oh my gosh. Sometimes you regret the interaction a little bit. But for the most part.
You have one prescription out
really?
of 3 pills.
Oh, sorry about that. So here's the thing. One wonderful thing about Apple is that all of your products are integrated. So I can answer my phone. You want to know like why I love Apple so much? So I can answer my phone on my MacBook. Don't laugh at me, Todd. So I can answer my phone on my MacBook, and I have a brand new MacBook. So I guess I didn't permanently put Do Not Disturb on my MacBook, which is what I use to stream live. It was permanent on my other one, and I haven't figured out how to fix that yet. And just now, instead of hitting decline, I hit accept. And so now you guys know that my prescription's ready. So in case you are all interested. Now you know. Now you know. Anyway, Eric said what's worse is that cashiers hovering over the self-service. That's what pushed you. Eric said that pushed him over the edge. The cashier, well, they do hover. But they do hover, and they want $15 an hour for that. I mean, really, they do hover though. I think they want to make sure that you're not stealing. But like, I mean, I feel like you're serving yourself. Like, what's the point? Like, why would I go to a store to serve myself? I don't really want to do that. Like, that's kind of like that's not why I go. That's not why I go to the store. That's not it at all. Oh, wow. I didn't hear about this on the news. I'm surprised that the media didn't jump on this. Have any of you ever heard of Alibaba? Any of you at all ever heard of Alibaba? Okay, now if you're kind of like a shopper, I don't want to say shopaholic, but if you're like a serious shopper, well, yeah, Eric, that's true. Might as well Amazon everything. And I Amazon a lot. And, you know, Amazon, feel free to send me a check for this information that I'm about to share. But if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you get 15% off. Okay? And they'll send you your stuff like monthly, every 2 months, every 3 months, and you get 15% off. I believe it's 15 or 5%, whatever it is. And like stuff that you like have to have that you know you're going to buy, that a lot of times you end up running to the store and get, like toilet paper. Like you know you're going to need that like all the time, right? Stuff that you always buy. So I subscribe to it, and then you come home and it's just like in a big box on your doorstep. Amazon Prime. You can't beat it, and it's super cheap. Well, Alibaba is like the Chinese version, sort of that. They were going to, Jack Ma, their chairman, they were going to put a retail business in America and create 1 million jobs in the United States. But apparently, he said he's going to scrap that idea because of the ongoing tariff war between us and China. Now, that was the stuff he was talking in the Chinese media the other day. Who knows if that's actually true? He said that, you know, that agreement was based on the premise that the U.S. and China had a really friendly trade relationship. But since we don't have a friendly trade relationship, they're not going to do that anymore. But, you know, by friendly trade relationship, he means that, you know, they could continue to, you know, continue to I'm trying to find a nice word. Continue to cheat. There we are. Okay. Continue to cheat us in their business practices. Continue to be unfair toward us in their business practice. There you go, Eric. Do whatever they want. Exactly. And to not be nice to us in their business practices. And, you know, President Trump isn't having it. And so because President Trump is not having that, I guess now he's feeling some type of way about that and is saying that he's not going to do the 1 million jobs. That's going to be something interesting to ask John Burnett about in the next hour, because we're going to talk to John Burnett specifically about whether or not we are going to have some type of cyclical recession or downturn or anything like that economically under the Trump presidency, because, the market and the economy is generally cyclical. But we have a different kind of president, so who knows? So I want to talk to him about that, and I'm sure. And this tariff war is a good example of that. We've never dealt with the Chinese the way we're dealing with them now. So, hey, Michael, how are you? Welcome to the Facey Chat. Eric says it's primary debate fodder. Do you think that President Trump is going to get primaried? I don't even know that primary is a word. I keep saying that, but I feel like I kind of made it up. But Todd said that their stock market is crapping out. Hopefully they will call Donald and come to well, yeah. And the thing is, they're in a lot of debt too. That's the other thing, Todd. They're in an awful lot of debt, and their economy is way smaller than ours is. So I mean, they're really not in a position to like grandstand the way they are. They really aren't. So I don't know what they're doing. It's all propaganda. But do you think that anyone is going to primary Donald Trump? People keep asking me. People are now already, there's already Facebook pages, Donald Trump 2020 and this, that, and the other. And, for one thing, because of some of the leadership positions that I hold in the GOP, I can't really say anything about who I would support. China is in trouble, Doug. I agree with you. I can't really say anything until we know what the primary field looks like. But just from quite frankly, a position of political wisdom, I don't think we should say who we're going to support until we know what the primary field looks like. Sorry. Kevin said, "How bad is your life that you need an Uber to bring you a Big Mac, though?" Okay, first of all, Kevin, it's not about your life being bad, okay? It's not about your life being bad. You have to understand this, okay, Kevin? Now, why are you buffering? You must have bad 4G in Arizona. So here's the thing, Kev, and I just realized, like, I'm seriously playing with a nail file on my live stream. Oh, you can't see it. That's good. I didn't even have to tell you guys that because you can't see it. It's out of your field of view. Anyway, but well, here's the thing, Kevin. Okay, for example, I'm on a break from my doctorate, right? But when I was working on it diligently, sometimes you're in the middle of a paper or something like that, and you don't want to stop to go to McDonald's. Okay? So you'll just click over to another tab, order, put the order in, bring the food, and just keep typing. Some people are really busy. Just saying. Like, I do that now. Like, I have a couple of places near me where you can order. And I did it last night, as a matter of fact. I was working, and my time got away from me, and I clicked over to another tab and ordered some pasta olio or something with shrimp. And then I kept on working. Yeah, that happened last night, okay? So I admit, I'm lazy and busy. I'm a combination of the two. It's lazy/busy. But I had to get stuff done, and I wanted to go to bed at a reasonable hour. So it was either like stop and take an hour out of my day and cook and go to bed later, or or just go ahead and order and keep working. So that's what those services are for people like me. We're super busy and just want to get stuff done. That's all. That's all it's about. I'm just saying. That's what it's about. We don't mean to be super lazy. It just happens that way. I'm a technology snob. I don't mean to be. Amazon funds the destruction of our nation. Why do you say that? Why do you say that, Kevin? Bezos is a globalist, open borders progressive. Well, yeah, that's kind of true. I don't know anything about him. I just wish he I wish he wasn't. Yeah. He's a China. Yeah, but his business is really awesome. Listen, I wish like Google wasn't as and Amazon weren't as awesome. Why don't we have businesses like that are owned by conservatives? Like, what are we doing as conservatives? Why don't we have businesses like that are owned by conservatives? That would be nice if we did. I'm just saying. Like, we need to step our game up because there are plenty of conservatives that have that kind of money. Why aren't we doing it? Right. Eric said, you said you get busy and don't have time to drive through before kickoff. See? Another busy person. This is what happens. Who has time to do that? Oh, well, that's because you don't have no woman. See, my man didn't worry about that when I was married. He just asked me what the freak he wanted. He just asked me actually he didn't have to ask because I knew when game days were, Monday, Thursday, and Sunday. I just made sure I had crap ready. That's all. You just need a woman, Eric, and then your problems will be solved. Then you're good to go. Very simple. That's all. Yeah, exactly, Ty. Like, where are all the conservatives that own these really good businesses? Like, where are the conservatives that own the Googles of the world? There's a simple solution for both of us. Well, Eric, it doesn't work that way for women, though. I mean, that's a conversation for a different kind of show. But where's the benefit for me? That's the problem. That's why a lot of women aren't married. Just saying. That's a different show, but I'm just saying. Like, what exactly do I get? I get to make somebody snacks? I'm not seeing how I make out in that deal. Terrible. I'm a terrible, terrible person. What can I say? What can I say about that? I'm an awful human being. Listen, having a wife is awesome. I'm telling you. I want one. I'm kidding. I don't want somebody to I don't want like the rumors to start that I like girls. I don't. I really, really, really like men. Just saying. Oh, did you hear that that the first private passenger has signed up for again with the flights to the moon? So here's what's going on. I guess Elon Musk and Bezos are like having a competition, right? Oh, yes. And Todd, you're absolutely right about the political connections for Google, Amazon, and Facebook. Do you know that they are on both sides of the aisle as far as money is concerned? Like, it's crazy. Like, it's absolutely nuts. Tucker Carlson has been all over it for like the last year. And that's why nobody is bothering. That's why nobody is bothering them, really. Because they're all evil. And the only solution is for us to all stop using it. But of course, that would lead to the destruction of most of our businesses, right? Because a lot of you guys, I would never have met if it wasn't for social media, right? If it wasn't for Google, if it wasn't for Amazon, if it wasn't for Facebook, I would never have met any of you. So the solution really is for us to do a mass migration, to organize and do a mass migration to another platform. But how? That's the key, but how? What, like, really, I guess, like, Google would have to do something really, really egregious for us to do that. I mean, they have, if you've been watching Tucker Carlson for the last couple of days, they really are, right. Most people with money have historically paid both sides of the aisle. And Eric is absolutely right about that, too. I know business people, even locally, that do that. I know business people who have, even locally, both signs in their yards. Both political signs at their businesses. Donate to both campaigns. Like, they literally don't pick a side. It's kind of crazy. it's kind of crazy. You're just like, I get it from a business perspective, but yeah, but Google, I mean, if you've seen any of the footage from from their private meetings after the election, I mean, it's crystal clear. And I'll tell you, as a recovering teacher, I can tell you, they don't hide their liberalism at all. Like, they just don't hide it. And that was one of the reasons why I left. Mike says they start getting the business going and then find power and turn liberal. Some kind of Soros insanity power. Do you use DuckDuckGo instead of Google? I use DuckDuck. I have it bookmarked on my manager, but I don't use it consistently. I need to start. Todd, I think you're right about that. I do need to start. And I think Mike Vessner is right about that. That they start doing business, then they find power and turn into liberals. But they have everything. They have every kind of like area. What Vessner said. They attach the government ASAP. It's true. It's true. And ridiculous. But what's scary, here's the part that I always find to be scary, is that they feel so comfortable in their righteousness that they can just espouse these things in public. Like, they feel no need to display any kind of middle road. They feel no need to the protection of money, Eric said. That's another good point. Like, I try to be, not on my show, of course, because it's my show, my name on the show, so I can do what I want. But like, when I'm in mixed company, like, if, I try to be relatively diplomatic, but when they're in mixed company, they do not consider themselves to even be in mixed company. They consider themselves to be so righteous that they can do whatever they want and say whatever they want, and that you are wrong. I was at an event last weekend, for example, and I found myself among a bunch of LGBT activists, and the woman told me that the fact that I felt that something was wrong based on what I read in the Bible was judgmental. And I said, well, why is it that you think it's okay for you to say that? For you to say that was judgmental? For you to say that I'm wrong? Why is it that you don't just say that you disagree? Why is it okay for you to say that I'm wrong for feeling that you're wrong? Like, you can't have it both ways. It's I don't understand those people, quite honestly. And I'm looking at notifications on my MacBook, and people are fighting on my Facebook page, which anybody who's been on my Facebook page for more than 30 seconds is not surprised by that. I just thought I'd mention. I just thought I'd throw that in there real fast. That's all. I just thought I'd mention that. And that's on my personal Facebook page, which is Melanie Teresa. If you want to friend me, feel free to do that. There's only a few spots left. But if you are not, I'd just love to mention this too. If you have not liked the show page, which is Money Talk with Melanie, please do that. That's where I update financial news, and I put some fun money memes on there as well. Some amusing money memes, some latest business articles and things like that. I put on the Money Talk with Melanie show page. If you're not following me on Twitter, you can do so at Money Talk Mel is my Twitter handle. If you'd like to follow my political musings and you really are feeling adventurous, you can do so at at NJGOP Diva. Finally, I don't know if I've mentioned this. Matter of fact, I'm sure that I have not recently, but I now do independent financial consulting. And it has been like wicked fun. I'm having a good time, and I'm also a certified business. Come on, Melanie, get it out. Certified benefits counselor. That's what I've been. The training I was finishing up yesterday, which I did it last year, but they make us do refresher courses. I swear that like no one does more training and more classes than financial people, maybe doctors. I don't think doctors do as much. I'm not sure. Hey, yes, I sell insurance. That is true. I do sell insurance. But I also... But what do I do before I sell you insurance? I'd give you a financial checkup for free. Do I not? I do projections. Do I not? And it's all completely free. Is it not? Yes, it is, Mr. Eric. Yes, but I do sell insurance. I do. And I also do 529 plans, which are college investing for your kids' future. Yes. Don't put it out there like I just sell insurance. I'm just like out there just like, you need to buy this insurance. No, that's not what I do. I do financial analysis to see what your situation is. And that is completely, absolutely, 100% free. And then if there's any way that I can help you, I can through insurance. Through insurance or through investing, depending on what your needs are. And I also do benefits counseling. I've added that to my repertoire. And very shortly, within the next week or so, I will be adding Medicare to my repertoire as well. So I'm very excited about that. I'm going to be a full service. So feel free to contact me through any of my social media, Messenger, or at Money Talk Mel, or at moneytalkwithmelanie@gmail.com. You can contact me there. We are going to end this hour. Say a prayer or two for my friend Mike Fitzpatrick, who apparently is under the weather. Please do. I am going to send you a bill, Mr. Jessup. He is under the weather, and that is why he is not on the show today. So please say a prayer or two for him. And my next guest up is John Burnett. Very excited to have him on the show today. He is the CEO of One Empire Group, faculty at NYU, and a strategic advisor for New York GOP. We will be back in a few moments.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcast. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting beyond enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Miller. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's no surrender ever, because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clan. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only, all-powerful, the Bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here on my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny. And we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads against tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday night. Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night.
night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday, from 7 to 9 a.m., right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics,
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
and all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events? All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m., here on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So, the plan's working. Got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw it.
And I know in cities, you know, we talked about this for a good for the last 3 years, and finally come to fruition.
You know, I'm still on the road, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of
It's amazing. It's kind of eerie. Like a poltergeisty thing.
seconds against tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back to another episode of Money Talk with Melanie. And actually, I just did welcome back to another episode of Money Talk with Melanie. And actually, it's the second hour of Money Talk with Melanie because it's only my second time doing 2 hours. I'm going to get used to doing 2 hours. It's good. It's all going to be fine. And my guest just popped up as well, Mr. John Burnett. How are you, Mr. John Burnett?
I'm well blessed and highly favored.
Oh, look at you. Well blessed and highly. You like fancy Christian. Well, I apologize for not like giving you like any lead time. Like I just answered the phone and you on the air. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I always stand ready.
Oh, I like that. I like that. That is very good. Like literally, my your timing was actually perfect. Like my commercial went off. I did my opening. This is only my second show doing 2 hours. So I'm still working on the transition a little bit. You know, my producer is just really a slacker. You know, you gotta.
All sounds good to me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. We had fun the first hour. I had to kind of wing it. Unfortunately, my first guest fell ill, so I had to do like a little freestyle Friday type thing. But it was fun. I always like doing that.
You should have paid me. I could have actually adjusted to the 5 o'clock, but it's all good.
It occurred to me, but I don't want to do that. You know. So
we could have both experienced 2 hours.
Well, it's certainly good to talk to you. Before we move forward, do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, a little bit about who you are, and this is your first time on Money Talk with Melanie, and we know, you know, they don't know you unless, you know, because you're on the show, they've never heard of you or anything. I'm kidding.
Well, I appreciate being on the show. I wear various hats, one of which I'm the CEO of One Empire Group. My background is in financial services and finance and risk management, operational risk, governance, compliance, and so forth. Then I currently teach at NYU. I teach 3 courses there, international political economy, organizational behavior, and business organization and management. And I also, from time to time, I teach a few courses at Hampton University online. And I'm known as the Black Republican in New York City, but I go on different shows like Fox or some international shows in London, and a lot of podcasts such as yours, and just share my ideas on money, business, politics, because I think, at that intersection, the more Main Street knows and understands about those things, how money and politics and all the other things come together, I think they can make more informed decisions.
Exactly. And that was actually the idea behind Money Talk with Melanie, was so that, the kitchen table, the people at the kitchen table could understand that their vote matters, that that economy, that the economy and politics and their values, they all affect each other. They're all interchangeable. There's a synergy there that they need to acknowledge and understand. So I completely agree with you there.
True. Well, in the consciousness of the average person, they see these pillars of power as separate pillars vertically. I see it actually cutting across and all being part of the same thing. So you can go vote, but that same power and energy that you place into voting, you need to also place into increasing your financial and economic understanding of the economy, understanding of investments, understanding how money works. And then also with those two things, the vote and that financial and economic understanding, you can better hold public servants accountable, while at the same time you're equipped with the tools on how to grow wealth.
But people don't do that. I was having a conversation with a relative the other night about this very thing. And he said to me, it was a great conversation, but he said to me that he found those things to be, and I'm sure you've heard this as well, he found those things to be too complex. And that's one of the things that we do, I think, in my opinion, as Republicans, that Democrats do better than we do. They appeal to the emotion, and of course we get into the minutia of what you just said. We understand the minutia behind the way the economy works, and we'll start explaining that, and people's eyes glaze over. They'll be.
I think it's harder to be a slave to the system than to learn certain things that might be a little challenging, but is well within your grasp and reach, especially in this day and age where there's so much free information on the net,
yes,
different shows, and so forth, like this podcast and things of that nature. It takes a hunger, and you have to use Ms. Hamer's saying, people complain a lot, but I don't think they're sick. I don't think they're sick and tired of being sick and tired enough. Because when you get to that point and you see how other people are making it, both on Main Street and those that are elite, at some point it needs to cross your mind, like, what am I doing wrong? Or more importantly, what are the right things to do? And it takes a certain mindset. And I hear a lot of times people say, well, I don't like risk, right? And I understand that. But the biggest risk is not taking one.
That is so true.
And nobody stands still. If you think you're standing still, you're not standing still, because time is always moving, which means that if you're standing still, you're actually falling further behind. So the key is you have to get in the game. If you find yourself playing a lot of scratch offs, that some might see that as taking risk and placing a hope in a long shot dream. But if you just look at how you're spending money, even a little bit of money, understanding the power of interest. I often tell people, interest can work against you and it can work for you. If interest doesn't engage in discrimination. It's in the power of your decision making. If you get into debt or use certain things, debt instruments, and then you get choked up in debt, then that interest is going to choke you. If you start placing some money in interest-bearing instruments, but preferably in real investments to get a return, then you're actually employing your money to go make money.
Exactly. You sure are. You sure are. But, people, by and large, it's so difficult to get some people to grasp that concept. And I love what you said about there not being prejudice in interest. There really isn't. I mean,
no, absolutely. See, you got to understand money and interest, and it's going to be one of the chapters in my book that I'm drafting. The goal of just to simplify it, if let's say you own a house, for argument's sake, you're paying 6% interest or 8% on the house, depending upon when you bought it and whether or not you refinanced. On your credit cards, you're paying 13%, 15% interest, and if you have any other type of borrowing, it's a lot of interest, right? So many times when you're paying the minimum payment per month, or even a little extra, many times the interest carries over and is capitalized. So you find yourself falling behind the 8 ball. So always, just generally, I advise people to say, you know what, try to put some of your extra funds or disposable income into higher interest or potential interest-bearing opportunities that surpass the cost of money.
Right.
So if you're paying 13% on your credit cards and you have a few dollars in your savings account that's getting 1% interest, you also have a triple tax, potentially, depending upon how much interest you receive, you can have a triple tax liability at the local, state, and federal level. So you're actually earning less than 1% compared to the amount of interest that you're paying. So you're not even giving your finances enough opportunity to surpass the cost of money. Not even before factoring in inflation.
And
so this is really simple stuff that is not too far-fetched, that if people actually stop, take personal responsibility, and take an interest in their own personal well-being and finance, and not outsource that responsibility to government or any company, I think people will be better off.
I think you're right, and it's the kind of I explain it to people this way. It's painful and it's work. It's like dieting. It's like exercise. It's like anything else that has a huge benefit. Your financial health is work. I just started back running, and I say that with air quotes, because I'm not quite up to full-fledged running for the whole 30 minutes yet. But I just started back after an injury. I hurt my foot about a year ago. But I just started back, and it hurts. It's painful. But I know at my age, if I want to have some longevity and live and be healthy and enjoy my life, this is what I got to do. Your financial health is the same way. You got to do the work.
I hear you, Melody, but I got to push back on a little bit.
What's that?
Fundamentally, I totally understand.
Yes.
But yeah, because it's hard to get motivated sometimes to go to the gym, right? So I totally get that.
Yes.
But let me tell you, I've never heard anybody say, I'm tired of making money.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
All this money today, I never heard anybody get tired of it. Especially when you start making money. I never heard of it. So it's not even. So it's technically easier than going to the gym.
Oh, it's definitely easier than going to the gym. I agree with you. But people don't, and I think especially your like median to high income people are so busy making money that they don't pay attention to maintaining it. It's kind of weird.
Well, my father always said it's not how much money you make, it's what you do with what you
make.
And these are also biblical principles, right? There's the scripture that talks about the talents, right?
Yes.
So the person that had 10 talents, they put it to work. Their talents were doubled. The person that had 5, they put it to work. It was doubled. The person that had 1 talent didn't do anything with it, and guess what? It was taken from him. So whatever you have, do well with what you have, and make sure that it grows. So we have to be a good steward over what we have, not look at someone else. Because again, with time and even a few dollars, the power of interest, just like it works against you, you get behind the 8 ball, it puts you in front of the 8 ball.
Exactly. That is very true. And, I tell people all the time, you'd be surprised what we spend. Those apps where you track, Mint is one of my favorite ones that track your money. Those things are eye-opening. I mean, really, the first time I used one and found out I was spending like $75 a month on coffee, I was like, really? This is like, that's a bill. Like what? Like what? I'm like, yeah, time to buy a coffee pot. Like that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous. So
you have to track your spending, but you also have to make a conscious effort on as far as where you put your money. And there's a poem called "If," and part of "If" it says, "If you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those 2 imposters just the same." In other words. And, if I would put it into a money terminology, have a capitalistic mindset. Now, people hear capitalism or capitalistic, and they think of it as a dirty word. No, it's just a perspective. So you can make money and grow wealth in good times, and you can also do it amid bad times. Let me give you an example of the latter. So when the Great Recession started, and things were falling apart. There were a lot of people pulling out of the market, myself included. And when I started to observe what was happening, I saw the bailout, TARP and everything. Then I also saw Warren Buffett, and I said, wow, he must be losing a lot of money. But I began to look at what decisions he was making. And he put $5 billion, with a B, not million, $1 billion into Bank of America. And I said to myself, wow, he's putting $5 billion into Bank of America? And the government also provided a baseline safety net for the banks? I said, Warren Buffett is not losing money like that. Plus, he negotiated that $5 billion to receive like a 7% interest coupon. It was a preferred stock offering. So I said to myself, you know what? If Buffett is putting his money there, that's where John Burnett is going to put a few dollars into Bank of America. So I bought a few thousand shares of Bank of America, and guess what? Years later, it quadrupled. Now it's I think it was around $5-6. Now it's at $30. And if you look, and if I held on to all of it, that would have been 6 times my money.
Whoa! Wow! Well,
but also think about what was happening at that time.
Right.
Mass hysteria.
Yep.
Mass confusion. what do I do? A lot of terror and fear, right? Again, if you could meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, there are opportunities and turmoil, and it could be disaster that possibly awaits even in good times.
Okay, so that's a great transition into what our topic was. We were talking the other night, it might have been last night. This day has been really long, so it could have been last night we were talking about this, or the night before last. We said, what are we going to talk about? We were talking about how, the economy and the market, really operates in cycles. And, we haven't had a downturn or a crash or anything like that in a good while. And we typically, we're kind of due for one. And I said to you, we're due for one, but Donald Trump is president. So, what does that mean since Donald Trump is president? We're due for a downturn. We're kind of due for a crash. And I did a little Google search just to see what some of the economists were saying. Not that it matters, because, economists said that the minute he was elected, the market was going to crash. And complete opposite happened. And, of course, I found today when I was doing some research for the show that economists were all over the map. Some said, why we could be, we could have highs, from now until 2026. And some said why the market's going to crash next week. So,
Right.
it was like,
economists are like doctors, right?
Right.
One doctor can say, you have a year. Another doctor say you can have 6 months. Another doctor say, it might be tough, but I think we can beat this, right? So It all depends upon perspective.
Right. That's true. So so what's John Burnett's perspective?
Well, this is what I say about the market. You're right. Market goes in cycles, right? It ebbs and flows. One of the reasons why. Well, let's look at the past, right? Not so distant past. From 2008 up until 2016. So, we had the Great Recession. People sold out of assets and went into cash, right? So the market went down, I think, to about 8,000, maybe 7,900, right, on a Dow. So that was the low as it relates to the market. But you had all this cash on the sideline and interest rates on near zero. So even if you do very little or nothing at all, eventually that cash is going to come back in.
Okay.
Separate and apart from any policy. Why? Because when you factor in pension funds and other investments, annuities, all these different instruments, even life insurance, when you pay your life insurance payment, they're taking that money and investing it into Wall Street and guaranteeing your death benefit. So all of this cash on the sideline earning near zero money is not going to stay there forever. So theoretically, the bottom of the market is never really the bottom, because that cash is eventually going to come back in.
True.
So I just want to make sure that's clear. So what would be the actual valuation when you add the sideline cash and the Dow? I don't think anyone's come up with that statistical or mathematical equation yet. But in any case, a baseline was given to the market. The money eventually came back in, and it actually went back up to the pre-2008 level and a little bit higher. Now, from the time that he took office, actually even before, the day after he was elected, the market jumped substantially.
Right.
So when you look at the day after he was elected up until now, it's a 46% increase, almost 50% increase since he was honestly, speaking positively about American business, speaking positive about America's possibilities, its wealth, and so forth, people feel extremely confident in that. The business community is no different. And the difference, even amid tariffs, even amid an inflationary market with respect to raising interest rates, the market is still shrugging that off. But when you look at between 2008 and 2016, the interest rates were kept near zero. You know what, Melanie? If I actually gave you an opportunity, or your view is an opportunity, to have near 0% interest, right? Where money was it was very easy to get a return, right? While the baseline interest rates are kept down low, that actually gives you a good support base for growth.
It certainly does.
Because the cost of capital is not as much. Now you're not getting a return on cash, so it technically forces you, going back to my other illustration, it forces you to invest into the market.
Okay.
Because cash is paying near zero.
Okay.
So in order to get a return, you have to go into the market.
Now here's where the other side of the aisle starts playing around with words and saying that, corporations are being given all these breaks and this, that, and the other. Now, because the theory, it's not even a theory, it's economic principle that you just presented is why the economy is growing and people are benefiting and jobs are being created. But, the left is saying, that, the rich are getting richer, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, when the rich get richer, jobs.
Well, Melanie, let me stop you right there. Look, the thing is, of course the rich is going to get richer.
Right.
I gave your view as an example. While everyone else was bailing out, theoretically, right? Warren Buffett went in.
Right. Right.
So you can't. It's just like Lotto. You got to be in it to win it.
Right.
If you're not in it, and other people are in it,
right,
then yes, the income gap is going to get wider.
Right.
So
right.
You can't be on the outside complaining that the rich are getting richer, their income is growing. Well, you know what? What are you doing with your income?
And the other thing is you have to be in a position to be able to afford to do that. Without the Warren Buffetts of the world, we're kind of screwed. Like, you know what I mean? Like somebody has to be in a position to do that.
Look, this really comes down to, and this is the reason why America has to be supported, right? Even with all its social ills, because there's no system, no government on earth that doesn't have social ills, right? So even with our social ills, if America goes down, what other nation on this earth will stand for the type of freedoms that we have? Even with our social ills. There's no other system on earth.
None.
And what other system on earth, the quality of life, even for our most poorest person, is 100 times better than the average, countries and throughout the world. It's completely different. And then when I hear the false argument comparing America to Denmark and all these other places, a lot of these places aren't even bigger than New York City. That's just the 5 boroughs of New York. I didn't even mention the entire New York State.
Right.
So when you have a small population, you could do a lot with a small population. But when you have 300 300 million plus individuals, it's a completely different dynamic. Then when you factor in, people can't just be moving into Denmark and have open borders in Denmark. Why? Because that would blow up their entire economic model.
Exactly. They couldn't.
So when you have people like Bernie Sanders and ignorance that's running rampant in our society, comparing apples to oranges, and you could do that when people aren't informed to make a rational and economic comparison. Then you can actually fool them. So it's really terrible. But let me just give you some. Let me answer your original question. So yes, the market will eventually correct itself, and when it corrects itself, there will be an opportunity to cash out, wait on the sideline, and then figure out what to do when you go back in, right? Because that is part of the entire cycle.
Right.
But I don't think we'll get to that point. And of course, it can happen at any time, right? No one has a crystal ball. But based upon the current economic data, there's 6.9 million job openings, even when the unemployment rate 3, which is the general one that's used and referenced, is at 3.9%. Even the unemployment rate number 6, which adds for part-time workers for economic purposes, that's at 7.4%, which is the lowest since April 2001. But wait, there's more. According to a Deloitte, and it's a consulting firm, one of the largest consulting firms around the world, Deloitte is expecting a $1.3 trillion holiday season.
Whoa!
That is historic. Why? Because people have jobs, they're optimistic about the economy on the right, left, middle, and even those that are politically agnostic, they have a higher confidence level in the economy. So that $1.1 trillion estimate has, and I'll just give you a few companies. FedEx, they said we need 120,000 seasonal employees. UPS, 100,000. Target, 120,000 people at $12 an hour. Macy's, 80,000. Gap stores, 65,000. And that's only 5 examples. So there's going to be a lot of holiday work, and that's good for people that's trying to close some budget gaps.
Yes. People
that want to earn a little bit more to do something extra or special next year. People are also may not have certain skills, but through this temporary employment, they'll be able to get work experience that possibly they can leverage somewhere else in the marketplace to get a better job that's permanent. But let's not forget what happened last year as well. Companies started issuing bonuses to frontline staff, also increasing their pay. With this type of upcoming holiday season on top of a historic year, I see another bonus wave. I see the income wage level increasing. I see confidence level coming back. And I also see with the tariffs and everything else, the Fed being a little reluctant to really start raising interest rates at an accelerated rate, which will actually serve to cool down the economy, and also and I call inflation. Inflation is like the theft of your money. So that'll actually slow down the theft of your money as people are actually trying to earn more. So I see this as positive, and I think we still have another at least 24 months to experience this great Trump economy.
Wow. That's a long time. I mean, that's a really long time. And the only problem that I foresee is that what the media will do is as soon as the slightest thing happens, they'll blame it on Donald Trump. Like they'll say it's all his fault.
Right. And they gave Obama a cushion. But I mean, that's politics, right? But see, people have to look beyond politics.
Oh, well, yeah.
And there are some concerns, right, in terms of student debt level.
Yes.
But hopefully with a continued robust job market, these students and others can actually go get gainful employment where they can, service that debt and responsibly, while at the same time they can maintain a standard of living. So this is where we're at right now. We're at a point where the economy is going well. We're also at a point where, despite tariffs and things of that nature, things are going well. And I know people are in the media is feeding negativity. Oh, this is a tax on the everyday worker, things of that nature. But people, I like to think algebraically, right? Whatever you do on one side of the equal side, you have to do on the other.
Right.
And you also look at the alternative. So when you look at the alternative, like if Donald Trump wasn't fighting for free and fair trade, and we continue down the course that we were on, my father always said, either you pay me now or you pay me more later. If we don't correct certain things now, we will be paying more later because our debt will actually start getting even larger at a faster pace because the deficit will also get larger.
That's
because
yeah.
And the deficit is constantly, ballooning because, in part, unfair trade.
Very true.
Other things that are driving the debt as well. There are other things, but specifically looking at the trade deficit. So you're saying that our wealth is going out of the country, building other nations, when we could actually build that here. And I have to say this, Melanie, right? In part, I love your show because your show is actually therapeutic for me too.
Oh, thank you.
Off my chest.
Oh, thank you.
So when you look at people will this media, and ignorant people will vilify America, but they say nothing about China. They say nothing about China's non-tariff trade barriers, like in order for American businesses to do business in China, they have to partner with a Chinese company, right, and give the Chinese company a large percentage of ownership.
Oh, yeah. Well, people don't know. They don't know that.
How is that free and fair trade?
It's not.
Then, if other companies want to import goods into China, for example, there's a 25% tax. So they are protecting their economy. Then guess what? When those companies partner with a Chinese company and they bring their cutting-edge technology into China, they're actually stealing our intellectual property and creating competitive products to compete.
Right. Then they steal it. Right.
How was that? And then lastly, as an example, they're debasing their currency.
Right.
Artificially.
Right.
So how is that free and fair trade? Some of those things are tariffs, and some of those things are equally detrimental in terms of non-tariff trade barriers.
No, I agree with you. Right.
You have to engage and do business. It's insane that the media and the average person is not calling out China. And I commend the Malaysian Prime Minister for actually calling out China and reneging. Well, he shouldn't renege on a deal, but I understand his reasons for reneging on the deal with China, saying that, you know what, this deal will put us deeper in debt, which is colonial, the new era of colonialism.
But and if President Trump wasn't the first one, like it takes the biggest guy on the block to stand up for the smaller guys to stand behind him. You know what I mean? It takes for the big guy to stand up and say, you know what, no more. And then the smaller guys are like, you know what, yeah, we're not going to do this anymore. You know, so the United States.
China doesn't have to pay a tax to do business as far as entry level tax, just to do business in America. They're buying up business assets and trying to do trade deals left and right.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, there's a couple of questions in the Facey chat, and I promised the listeners that I would get to them, and I want to make sure that I do.
Sure.
I copied and pasted them so that I wouldn't forget as they were scrolling by. Todd asked, if you had $100,000, where would you put it where it would be treated best? That's an open-ended question.
Okay. Here. I get this question answered all the time.
I'm sure you do.
I was leaving a coffee shop just before doing the show, and a lady there asked me the same question. Hey, John, if I had $10,000, what should I do with it? So here's the thing. You have to know yourself before you do anything. You have to know what is your risk tolerance.
Right.
You have to know your ability to assume risk. You have to know your time horizon. In other words, fine, if you have $100,000, do you need that $100,000 in 2 years, 3 years? If so, that will affect where you put the money. And that will affect what type of potential return that you can get. And then is the income that you have, is it steady or there's massive fluctuation? All these things are relative, right? So even if a millionaire came to me and asked me the same question, right? I would ask him everything that I just mentioned. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean that your risk tolerance is high.
Right.
Even if you have a high income and you can stand to lose millions, if your risk level is not, if you don't want to take that level of risk, even if you can afford it, then your risk level is not high. So it really comes down to personality as well as your financial situation. So I can't answer that question unless I get more information. I would tell Todd is take a self-assessment on the things that I just mentioned and start with what you know. If you think that you could take a little bit, not necessarily aggressive risk, like long shot, but you could take moderate to a little bit of high risk. If you think that's in your space, then start with what you know. Look at what you're wearing. Look at what you're using. Educate yourself.
Right.
Then maybe put a little money in 4 or 5 different things. And if you're not a stock picker, which requires a lot more research, then throw it into certain mutual funds or ETFs, exchange traded funds. So we educate ourselves in a lot of other things. If we begin to read about different investment vehicles, and when we read and educate ourselves, we not only receive knowledge about things external when it comes to the financial markets, we also learn a lot about ourselves.
Very true.
First and foremost.
Very true. How do you feel about Bitcoin? I haven't talked about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in a long time. But how do you feel about the crypto market, Bitcoin, all of that whole blockchain?
Just like I answered Todd, you know what? Stick with what you know. So John Burnett is sticking to what he knows.
I hear you.
I know about stocks. I know about bonds. I know about exchange-traded funds. I know about options. I know about all this other swaps. I know about all these other complex products.
I hear you.
Digital currency.
Listen, it is, and I read about it. I've read about it several times. I understand the basics of it because I'm a techie type chick, and so because I know the money thing, and I'm a techie girl, so I know the techie stuff, and so basically cryptocurrency is kind of the marriage of the two, but. When you start getting into the investment piece, it's crazy because it's tangible, but it isn't, And well, it's kind of like it's similar to what the dollar. It's kind of like what the dollar used to be. Right after.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
With any investment, and I'm probably aging myself a little bit. Any investment where I can't call somebody.
Right.
It ain't happening. There's no help desk.
Right. But there's
no push number 2 if the problem is that there's nothing like that.
But that's the beauty. That's the beauty of cryptocurrency, and it's not regulated either. Now
that all sounds good, but if there is no place to call, to remedy something, that gives me a level of unease, and I'm not alone. There's some sophisticated people out there, wealthy people out there, but also staying away from Bitcoin. Before people get into Bitcoin, I will say learn the regular markets. Bitcoin is more complex than regular markets. And now people are complaining about regular markets, and then they're going to gravitate to Bitcoin. That's completely irrational.
No, you're right about that. And the last guest I was going to have on to talk cryptocurrency had to cancel because they got in a little trouble with the FCC or the SEC.
SEC.
Yeah.
SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of rules and regulations as far as what you can say, what you cannot say.
Right.
They're probably listening to this conversation now.
Oh, well, I'm licensed. I'm an insurance broker. So.
Okay, John, how are you going to answer Todd's question? If you notice, I didn't mention specific stocks. I just gave a general understanding because then I could be cited for improper behavior, so to speak, if I don't know Todd and don't know Todd's specific situation.
Right. I'm licensed too, so I know. You notice I don't do that either. Because I don't want a phone call from any of the companies I deal with either, and I certainly don't want a call from any compliance offices or licensing offices trying to have a discussion with me. I do not.
And can I also mention this point that I told my students last night. I said that there is a level of equality in our tax system when it comes to investments that's afforded the rich person as well as Main Street. So, but we have to understand how our tax system is set up. Our tax system is set up to encourage people to take risk. Well, how so? Glad you asked the question. So when you go to work every day, there is no risk. Because there are laws on the books that guarantee that you will get paid.
True.
So any income where there's a guarantee, there is no risk. So therefore, the taxation is higher. So let's say your tax rate for W-2, 1099, or whatever is 30%. Now, you take that after-tax money, after you paid that 30%, and you invest it. Remember, already taxed.
Right.
So whether you're a rich person putting $5 billion into an investment, or you're putting $5,000 into an investment, if you hold on to it for a year or more and sell it, the capital gain, I'm going to throw an example out there, is 15%. Then you can take certain deductions for charity and this and that, whatever. Let's say it comes down to 13%. That's afforded to any and everyone. And it doesn't make sense to tax non-W-2 income at the same rate as ordinary income. Because the other income that you earn from investments is after-tax dollars. You've already paid the higher rate.
Right.
And you didn't make that money by going to work. That money went to work for you. And when the money goes to work for you and brings a return, it shouldn't be counted as regular income at a regular rate.
True.
So the reason why the rich don't pay 30% in that example is they're not going to work. The money's working.
Well, people don't understand that.
The key is employ your money. Put your money to work.
Exactly. All right, I have a couple more questions. I want to make sure I get to them. Celeste, who's my homegirl, my sister in the faith, my homie, so I want to make sure I ask that question if she's going to give me grief. She wants to know how you feel about silver, gold, and platinum. How do you feel about any of those precious metals?
What's her name?
Her name is Celeste.
Celeste.
Yes.
So Celeste has been reading the Armageddon and the End of Day preparation.
She probably has.
That's the reason why she's asking.
She's from New Orleans.
Gold.
Yes.
Look, gold. It's funny how people ask about commodities. Commodities are arguably more complex than buying stocks. In fact, in order to open up a commodity account, you have to have, a higher net worth and a higher, level of sophistication to invest into commodities than you have to have investing into stocks. So I find that quite interesting. But in any case, some people prefer to do that because it's more stable, but then it does include risk, but the level of return is not going to get you the type of return that you might expect or need. And again, nothing is guaranteed in precious metals or in the financial markets, but it all depends upon what you're trying to achieve. So if you're an older person and your runway, not just life expectancy, but your runway to a fixed income period of your life is short, if that runway is short, then you can't take or shouldn't take as much risk. Because if you hit a down cycle in the market, you might not be able to, recoup that within your time horizon.
Wow, those are some very diplomatic words you're using there. If your runway is short, and your time horizon, I'm writing. I need to write all this stuff down. Your time horizon. So if you're gonna die soon, no, I'm just kidding.
So now there's risk in those metals, right?
Right.
Metal investments. But generally speaking, at this level where it is now, the probability of if you're seeking a high return, it probably won't be there at this current level.
So in other words,
all depends upon what your expectation, your needs are, and your time horizon. If you're looking to take on risk with the opportunity of capital preservation, which means that you won't lose a whole lot, generally speaking, it might be good, but it all depends upon your risk tolerance. But when the Armageddon comes, right? If that's Celeste call in rationale, I got to put the word on it. It says you can't buy or sell unless you have a mark.
Oh my gosh!
And where can you go if the banks collapse?
Ah.
Where can you? So people are not really understanding even the word of God when it comes to that situation. Oh, I'm going to put my money here, and then they'll say, "Well, I'm going to go to an island when it happens."
No, I don't think that's what she's doing.
I'm just saying, generally speaking, not her per
se.
But if that's her reason, I'm just showing that no matter what you do, if that's your reason to prepare, there is no preparation.
Right. That's kind of the point.
Everything collapses because you can't go to the store with some gold because that person can't even go anywhere to exchange it for anything else of value.
Right. And somebody asked about fiscal gold, so I think you may have just answered that question.
Exactly.
Right. Somebody asked how you felt about fiscal gold.
So just like you go to the store and give that person cash or a credit card, and then that person takes it to the bank, then they have a bank account. There's an economic system of valuation, movement of money. But if the banking system collapses, how are you going to take gold into a store and then have that type of exchange? And then where is that person going to take the gold? There'll be no system at that point. There'll be a different type of system that eventually comes in, and that's a whole other conversation.
No, you're right about that, and that's an entirely different conversation for sure. No, you were definitely right about that. Amen on that. Excellent. No, oh my goodness. I'm looking at the comments on the live stream.
What did she say?
She said, I read and listen to and glean and consult the words, wisdom, and go from there. Of course she does, because she's Celeste. That's she's got, if you ever hear my girl Celeste talk, she's got this incredible accent. She's from New Orleans. And she's got this.
Okay.
She hates for you to talk about her accent, which is why I'm talking about her accent. She's got this. She's got this amazing accent that's just wonderful to listen to. But she's my big sister in the faith, and who reprimands me regularly for my bad behavior. Well, which I need. I need Celeste in my life. Thank you so much. Where can we contact you to get in touch with you, to have you on your show, watch you on Fox Business? Because normally that's where you are on Friday evenings, but you had a schedule change, and I am blessed to have you on my show. I'm so happy about this.
Well, generally it's on Fridays, but then this week it was on Wednesday, and next week it's on Wednesday, so it moves around. But Fox Business, Charles Payne Show, and for the next few weeks, generally, I can't say if I'll definitely be on, but generally it's every week. But there's a schedule change. He's moving to 2:00.
Oh yeah,
from the 6:00 slot. So I might end up being on whoever takes on that show at 6, or move with Charles, or do both. I'm not sure. But what I do is tweet out what I'm doing, where I'll be talking. Somewhere at the intersection of the economy, policy, business, and politics.
Excellent. And your Twitter handle?
All my social media is I am John Burnett, B-U-R, N as in Nancy, E-T-T. Everything is I am John Burnett. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yes, because branding. Yes.
I love that I am.
Yeah, that's very good. I was trying to decide if I liked it or not. I still haven't decided. It's good though. I think it's good. I am, yeah. And I think I've only seen one other person that does it that way. It's pretty cool. I feel like if I did I am Melanie Collette, it'd just be weird. But I am John Burnett works.
Yeah, it kind of rolls off the tongue. And of course, I am humble. God is almighty.
Oh, that's true.
And I praise him. I am humble. But I like that I am. It's just so empowering.
And then you have it in everything. Okay, now that right there, now that's good stuff. That's good stuff. That's excellent. Okay.
Well, there's a lot of John Burnett, so I had to figure out. Here's the truth behind it. I had to figure out what could I use across all platforms.
True.
And I said, you know what? And I said, well, at the time, the real John Burnett, that implies that there's a lot of phonies out there. Listen, you know what? I am.
True.
That's like saying my name is John Burnett.
I like that. That's good. Okay, I'm going to close the show really quick. I want to thank everybody in the Facey chat. You guys rock. Everybody out there in SHR Media Land. Hey, listen, Mike Fitzpatrick's under the weather. That's why he wasn't able to be on the show tonight. Those of you for whom prayer is a practice, please do say a prayer for him. I'd appreciate it very much. And I want to thank everyone. If you're listening to this as a download on any of the download platforms, iTunes, Google Play, etc., I thank you for that so very much. I want to thank my guest, John Burnett, for being here this evening. Just wonderful, very good information. I appreciate that so very much. Remember, guys and gals, all of this is very important because, after all, it's your money. Have a fantastic weekend.